and you're watching RoK on Racing Grand Prix Preview. I'm your host, Joe, and here joined by Alistair Middleton. Hello, Alistair.
Hello.
So Grand Prix, it's the most prestigious race brought to you here at South Korea. And now, it's really the race to pick out the best runner of the year.
Absolutely, biggest race of the year, as it is always. Last year we had 40,000 punters inside Seoul Racecourse on a freezing cold day. It's not going to be much warmer this year, but it should be a great race again.
And last year we've had entries made through public vote, but this year it's a little bit different. It
is indeed. Up until last year, this race was run along the lines of the Iri McKinnon in Japan, whereby punters would have a vote as to which horses they wanted to see in this race. From this year it's been changed, and it's now done on a point system, so these horses have been qualifying all year to get to this race.
So here's the question, who made it through Grand Prix? Let's have a look at the field. 12 runners and 4 representing Seoul and 8 from Busan, but this year it looks like favorite is going to be from Seoul.
Yeah, it's a good race. It's a deep race. There's plenty of talent in this race, and certainly from Seoul, Cheongdam Dokki is the one we will be looking for, this up-and-coming 3-year-old. He's going to be the favourite, I think, but being favourite in this race doesn't mean much, as I think this century only 2 favourites have actually won. The last time was Dongbani Gangja in 2009. Wow.
I mean, since the 2000s. Will it be another race coming short?
I mean, this is the Grand Prix. Anything can happen. Can Cheongdam Dokki get beaten? Yes, of course he can. He can get beaten. There's a lot of unknowns in this race. The distance, the time of year, the field size, plenty of unknowns.
Well, who's Cheongdam Dokki? Let's find out. So here's the past performance. October 22nd, KRBC Cup Classic over 2,000. Have a look at this stunning performance by Cheongdam Dokki.
Right, well, we noted at the time that this looked like the transition of power, at least at Seoul, and to be honest, it wasn't a peaceful transition of power either. But Cheongdam Dokki really
dominating the field.
He led from gate to wire. He looked every inch a winner the whole way around. He won in the end by 4 lengths from a horse called New Citadel, who unfortunately isn't running in this race. And he was a full 9 lengths clear of good old Clean Up Joy, who came back in third. Clean Up Joy having won the race last year. There doesn't seem to be any reason why Cheongdam Dokki can't handle the extra distance today. He hasn't always been the most straightforward of horses, certainly not to deal with, certainly not to ride either. He went through a phase of being very difficult to parade, refusing to parade earlier this year. But in his last couple, he seems to have fixed that. He looks like he's getting better, and you've got to say he's the one to beat here.
Right, and we've had to see through this race, Clean Up Joy, the most expected runner, being beaten.
Yeah, I mean, Clean Up Joy, last year's Grand Prix winner. He was the KRBC Cup Classic winner last year. But it's been hard for him in recent starts.
But he had great runs here in the earlier part of this year, so let's have a look at the past performances in the earlier part of the year. Starting off with YTN Cup, and this was the final one of Clean Up Joy's straight victories, and it was really easy for him back then.
Right, 5th straight victory, in fact. He had a more leisurely start that day. He took things up eventually in the early part of the home straight, and he ran on to win really, really easily, actually, 4 lengths from Shamrocker. 3rd place getter, 11 lengths back. But to be honest, this race was never likely to be too much of a contest. He was almost 20 points rated higher than any of the others in the field. But it did show the kind of dominance that Clean Up Joy enjoyed earlier on in this year. We've got to say he hasn't shown it in the 2 races since. We can forgive his mare's Cup in Busan earlier this year.
Just look at that.
It was very impressive. The KRBC Cup Classic performance is a little bit harder to ignore, though.
Right. There we go. Clean Up Joy. And of course, this is last year's Grand Prix, where all 3 of those, Clean Up Joy, 999 and Power Blade, ran together.
Right, 16 runners in this race last year. Clean Up Joy began by request from the outside gate. Throughout his career, he has been an awkward starter. He quickly got close to the pace, though, and he was leading by the time they got into the straight. Now, 999, he took a while to wind up, but he did finish strongly. He got within about 1.5 lengths of him. Power Blade, perhaps at this time last year, not quite ready for this distance, but he still ran on nicely for 3rd.
Look at 999.
999 finished off very, very nicely, but Clean Up Joy was at the height of his powers that day. He was only 2nd favourite to the odds on 999, but as we said, favourites don't often win in the Grand Prix.
Right, favourites don't often win. Could possibly be a hopeful omen for Clean Up Joy. So we've all looked at the Seoul runners, and now let's go on to the Busan runners.
We've got a lot of runners from Busan. Obviously, we've got 8 runners from Busan, and we've got some really, really good ones as well. Of course, we sound like a bit of a stuck record when we're talking about these horses, but we have to really talk about the two, 999 and Power Blade. We talk about them all the time, but they're not getting any weaker. If anything, they're getting stronger.
Right. They both placed 2nd and 3rd respectively last year's Grand Prix, and they also ran together this time out at President's Cup. So let's have a look at the race. And President's Cup, this is where the belief that 999 could possibly be beaten by Power Blade, but it turned out to be that distance was right for him.
Right, well, Power Blade has handed 999 2 defeats at 1,400 metres and a mile in their previous 2 meetings. The general feeling, certainly among pundits, and I was guilty of this as well, was that even at 2,000 metres, Power Blade perhaps now had the edge. Now, punters didn't agree. They sent them off as co-favourites. Power Blades, he got first run. This time, though, 999 came back at him. He ground him down. They came together a furlong out. 999 kicked on and won. Now, one issue with 999 throughout his career has been his failure to actually move up a gear or even change leads in the straight. Power Blade's finish, perhaps a little bit disappointing that day, but take nothing away from 999. He was exceptional, and I think plenty will fancy his chances at 2,300 metres this time around.
And now we've just looked at all possible contenders. Are there any others that we have to look at?
As I said at the top, I think this is a really, really deep race. It's difficult to toss any. I think maybe Cheongdam Dokki you might have to say is going to be up against it, but there are some other really good ones here. I think Silver Wolf, the champion filly and mare, is going to be very interesting to see how she goes. She's the only filly or mare taking her chance here. It's not impossible. I think Sengil Gippum also won a trial for this race over 2,200 metres very, very impressively last month. So he's going to be interesting too. Even the likes of Bukhari Bansok, different dimension. I think this distance is going to be interesting. Great race. Looking forward to it. Right.
I mean, this race is just for the best horse of Korea. So this is going to be 36th Grand Prix, and we're going for the 36th winner. Stay tuned to find out more at KRBC.